Sometimes when life gets hard, you have to find comfort wherever you can find it, and the comfort of my choice lately is imported from Italy with notes of almond and disinfectant surface cleaner. The world is not a happy place, but to be perfectly honest, my life is not particularly hard. I'm one of the few well-adjusted artists out there. I'm just evidently also an absolutely outstanding actor. I actually drink very little alcohol, but nowadays I do enjoy some dessert-like drinks here and there, like a coconut-flavored sake I discovered, or this Disaronno, which I always thought comes in an ugly bottle, until I realized the only ugly part is the characteristic square top. So what if I turn the bottle into a cool vase? And in order to do that, I'm going to turn to this free newspaper that I find around New York City, El Especialito. If you watched my channel before, you may have seen me use it to make art from Ben Affleck's beard, or you may have seen me collage together this upside down and right side up woman. But most likely of all, you've just never seen this channel before, so welcome, stay a while and subscribe and all that. My name is Bored, but that's kind of more of a me problem. Let's do some collage. So yeah, I'm making the things I see here fly toward you through the magic of visual effects. So when I pick something out like this thing, which by the way I end up not using, classic, but I do end up using these leaves and some other stuff that I'm pointing at here. So this is me just going through the issues of El Especialito that I picked up. And when you collage, you don't have to use everything. So if there's something you find that you don't like, you can just, get rid of that and not use that in your collage. That's one of the things I love about collaging. It's therapeutic work. Anyway, here I am tearing out that thing that I already made fly toward you before. This is Angelina Jolie, and I will end up using this dress and the handbag and everything in the final label that I'm making. And here is an exquisite close-up of my fingers. Not sure why I framed the shot like this. But anyway, I use scissors for most of my cuts, but sometimes there are kind of more delicate cuts that need to be done. And for that, I take out my trusty, slim little X-Acto knife and then try really hard not to mess things up. And I think in this case, I pretty much nailed it. I took my sweet time, but I nailed it. There it is. And then just surgically remove that gap. I even cut out her head, even though I knew I wasn't really going to use that. And then I'm cutting out this bodysuit from J-Lo, who appears, I think, in every issue of this newspaper, I will say. Just kind of cleaning up the curve there and simplifying it a bit. But yeah, I think that the glam of this should work well. And then here I drew a rectangle in Illustrator, printed it out, and now I'm just cutting a window out. I'm using this to make sure that my composition will match the size of the label on the bottle, because I'm going to actually just glue it right onto the existing label. What I found out here is that my measurements were not 100% accurate. So I went back and just extended that window a little bit. And by the way, as I was looking at this shot, I thought it kind of looked like it was an advertisement. And that made me remember that actually way back when, like a million years ago, I used to see ads on TV for Disaronno. And maybe that's why I ended up sort of picking it out of a lineup in a store and started enjoying it. But you got to check this out. Look at this ad.
Disaronno, pass the pleasure around.
I mean, pass the pleasure around. That's crazy. There's a woman in a bar surrounded by men. She's sucking on an ice cube. Pass the pleasure around. So anyway, there's a reason, I guess, why there is kind of a sexual or sexualized theme to the label that I'm making as well. At least that's my excuse. We all need excuses sometimes. Cutting off a part here that I won't need. And I'm gluing everything to this kind of thick watercolor paper, which is probably not a good idea, honestly, because it means that my final label is going to be kind of thick. Originally I thought I would just glue everything. Well, actually, originally, I thought I would remove the label from the existing bottle, clean it off completely, and then make a label and glue it on there. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm doing collage. There's already a paper label on the bottle. Why don't I just collage straight onto the bottle? Problem with that is I actually haven't finished the drink yet, and it seemed awkward to collage on a bottle that still has liquid in it. So I ended up deciding to just kind of do the composition on a kind of a base piece of paper and then cut it out at the end and then just glue it onto the existing labels at the end. I may come to regret that, but I just wanted to get this started before I was in the mood to drink the rest of what's in the bottle. I told you I'm not a big drinker. Anyway, I did find all this greenery in the newspaper. It was actually from a section where they were teaching people, like Spanish speakers, the English words for these different types of plants. So that section came in handy because I did want to have some like verdant stuff involved here. And I'm using my little window to just figure out where, like, what my final composition is going to look like. And I'm moving stuff around and checking how it might work. So putting some mint right here. And when it looks like I'm gluing on top of it, I'm actually not. I have the cap on the glue stick there, and I'm just using it as something other than my finger to kind of rub the glued part in. And then here comes the part where I try to cut this out, which is now on this thick piece of paper, so it was a little bit of a hassle. I have some things that are kind of jutting out of the rectangular composition. I thought that was a nice way to make the label feel a little fancier, a little bit more organic, a little bit more interesting. But it did make cutting it out that much more of a hassle. But, you know, we all struggle for our art, right? Such as it is. I'll leave this here. You can kind of figure out the rest, but you don't have to, because here it is. I'll show you the final. But stay tuned, because I did the other side of the bottle too. I did a second label. The idea with that is, you know, why not do this in a way where you're able to just turn the bottle around and you have a whole new little item, like a decor item in your apartment. I love it when you can do that. I have a similar idea where I'm going to do this painting on cardboard, and then on the opposite side of it, I'm planning to do sort of a Christmas painting. And that way, come Christmas time, I can just turn the painting around and suddenly I have a very Christmassy apartment, and then when I want to get rid of it, I just turn the painting around again. So I like that kind of flexibility when thinking about apartment decor. Here comes Angelina Jolie into the composition. It was a little bit of a weaving trick to get her in there. And then I'm bringing out my greenery again. And I'm not going to show you the entire process of this because you'll see it in the final image. But basically I'm just moving these pieces around, trying to figure out how they might fit. I want to kind of cover up the hair on that finger. Well, it's not hair on the finger, but it's the woman's hair sort of twirled around her finger. And I'm keeping the bottom of the dress and the foot as kind of an element that sticks out of the rectangular composition. I thought that was kind of nice. So I tried to rotate this in every way humanly possible to see kind of what works. I think what I ended up with is reasonably good. I had kind of, I didn't have a ton of these greenery pieces. But anyway, here is the final, turning the bottle around. And voila. So I think I've repurposed my regrets into a Pinterest-worthy centerpiece here. Instead of recycling like a responsible adult, I've turned a coping mechanism into a perfectly acceptable decor item. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know about it below and like it and subscribe and whatever else, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.